I'd like to welcome everyone to the first meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Clarkston Independence District Library, successor to the Independence Township Library. I'm Julie Meredith, I'm the Library Director, and I would like to say a few words about how we got to where we are today. The Independence Township Library was established in 1965 under Public Act 269, making the library a department of the township, governed by the Township Board. In 1976, PA 269 was repealed. All PA 269 libraries were grandfathered in so that they could remain public libraries while they determined how and when to reestablish under a current law. In January 2012, the Township Board began to look into reestablishing the library as a district library in which 2 or more municipalities come together for the purpose of sharing a library. The Board of the Charter Township of Independence and the Council of the City of the Village of Clarkston appointed a committee to draft a district library agreement. The committee consisted of Township Trustee Neil Wallace, Township Superintendent Bart Clark, Township President Janice Gaffney, Township President Marilyn Pomeroy, City Mayor Joe Luginski, City Councilman Eric Haven, City Resident Mary Himberg, and City Resident Ann Rose. Library Law Attorney Ann Cern and I assisted in the drafting process. When the agreement was complete, the Township Board and City Council each passed a resolution approving this agreement. It was sent to the state of Michigan, where State Librarian Nancy Robertson signed the final approval on the agreement, establishing the Clarkston Independence District Library on August 1st of 2012. As designated by the District Library Agreement, the library will now be governed by an independent library board consisting of 5 members appointed by the Township Board and 2 members appointed by the City Council. These board members are, for the Township, Michelle Ginn, Evan Markarian, Allison McFadden-Kiesling, Jean Molson, and Marilyn Pomeroy. For the City, Mary Himberg and Kay Robertson. At this time, these board members need to be sworn in. It is standard practice for each municipality's clerk to swear in the board members appointed by their governing body. Unfortunately, City Clerk Kelly Richter is unavailable this evening and has asked Township Clerk Barb Pilata to also swear in the city's appointees on her behalf. It is my honor to invite Township Clerk Barb Pilata to come forward and swear in the 7 members of the new Clarkston Independence District Library.
Yes. I'm going to administer the oath and after I state it, raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of the District Library Board in and for the Township of Independence, County of Oakland, and State of Michigan, according to the best of my abilities, so help me God. Thank you. Have you said it? Thank you.
At this time, on behalf of the Clarkston Independence District Library Board, I will call the meeting officially to order at 6:13 p.m. And we will do a roll call. Michelle Ginn, present. Mary Himberg, present. Evan Markarian.
Here.
Allison McFadden-Kiesling.
Here.
Jean Molson.
Here.
Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
Kay Robertson.
Here.
Julie Meredith here. Would someone like to make a motion to appoint a chair for this evening's meeting?
I'd like to make a motion. Marilyn.
Allison McFadden-Kiesling made a motion for Marilyn Pomeroy. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Michelle Gannon, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I respectfully turn the meeting over to Marilyn Pomeroy.
Thank you. Let's rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Thank you, Allison. Sure. Any discussion? If not, I'll accept a vote of aye to approve.
Aye.
Nay. Motion is accepted. Call to the public. This is a public hearing on the budget. Are there any comments or questions by the public on this item tonight? Oh, the public hearing opens officially at 6:14. If there's no public comment at that time, the hearing is closed at 6:14. Okay, we're going to move directly to new business. We have a lot of new business tonight. The first item has to do with adopting the bylaws. And if you look at the resolution,
There's an error on page 2 that I have marked and fixed. The name of the library is wrong on the bottom of page 2.
in section 4.
Yeah. Section 5, the bottom of page 2.
Is that section 4?
And section 4, right? Yes.
Article 5, duties of officers.
Yes.
That's the one on page 2?
Yep.
Section 4. Do we need to read these or make any comments or just?
It's entirely up to you if there's anything that you would like to change, but you're
Yeah, so as you're reading through this, if anyone has a question on any area, I had a question under section, Article 3. Article 3, Section 4. The board will prepare and publish an annual budget and obtain an annual audit by an independent certified public accountant selected by the board. At what time is it appropriate to make that selection?
The selection is usually done in the fall. We'll follow, because the township is acting as the interim fiscal agency, we'll go through that process at the same time that you do. So they'll help walk us through that process the first time.
Okay.
The likelihood is, we'll bid it out, but it's very common for libraries and municipalities to use Plant Moran. Plant Moran is the township's current.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Any comments? If not, I will accept a resolution to approve the bylaws.
We need a motion for that.
But do we read the whole resolution?
Some municipalities do and some municipalities don't.
Okay, we have the resolution following the bylaws. so we could revisit.
You could definitely.
Okay. At a special meeting of the Library Board of the Clarkton Independence District Library, Oakland County, Michigan, held at the library on the 9th of August, 2012 at 6:15 p.m. Those present, which is everyone, the following resolution was offered by Mary. Was there a second?
No.
Okay, I'll second it. So Mary Himberg has made the resolution. Nikki Ginn has seconded. Whereas pursuant to the District Library Establishment Act of 1989, PA 24, the Clarkston Independence District Library was formed and has been approved by the state of Michigan, with the Charter Township of Independence and the City of the Village of Clarkston as participating municipalities. And whereas the Library District Board has the power and obligation under the DLEA to adopt bylaws and regulations not inconsistent with the DLEA, governing the activities of the board and the district library, and whereas a form of bylaws has been presented to the District Library Board and is attached to this resolution as Exhibit A, and whereas it is in the best interest of the board to approve and adopt the bylaws, it is therefore resolved as follows. The District Library Board hereby approves the bylaws in the form attached hereto as Exhibit A. The bylaws shall be filed with the Secretary of the District Library Board with its minutes. All resolutions or motions and parts of resolutions or motions in conflict with this resolution are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict. How many yays do we have? Raise your hand, please.
This requires a roll call.
Okay, roll call. Please do.
Michelle Ginn,
Yes.
Mary Himberg,
Yes.
Evan McCarty,
Yes.
Allison McFadden Kiesling,
Yes.
Jean Molson,
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy,
Yes.
Kay Robertson.
Yes. Okay. The bylaws have been accepted and will be so filed. The second item on new business is to elect the officers of the board. Officers are elected in January of each year, so this slate of officers will serve through December 31st, and a new slate of officers will be contemplated in January of next year. All right, we need a president, a vice president, a treasurer, and a secretary. So I am now, the floor is open for nominations for president.
I move to elect Ms. Pomeroy as president. Marilyn Pomeroy.
I second. Now, do we need to do each item individually?
Yep.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? If no, any discussion? If not, do we have to have a roll call vote on this?
No, this one is just a straight vote.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we need to appoint a vice president. Motions? Okay. All right. We need a move to vote. We need an appointment as vice president. I would like to nominate Nikki Ginn. Is there a second? Any other nominations? Any discussion?
I'm sorry, who's the second?
Allison. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. I'll now entertain a motion for treasurer.
I move to appoint Evan as treasurer.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay. Any other nominations? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And finally, we need a secretary. I will accept nomination for secretary.
I move to nominate Mary as secretary.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Allison holds a second. Any other nominations? Any discussion? If not, Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So this is our new slate of officers through December of this year. All right. Meeting agenda item, the next item. Where am I? I've lost my place. You need to accept the responsibilities and agreements under district library agreement. You need to see the resolution following the bylaws. This is agenda item form. This is very long. Okay, the responsibilities and agreements under district library agreement. This one is a very long item. You have a recommendation on reading this. Has everyone read this agreement?
Yes.
All right. In that case, would you please call the roll?
So we have to have a motion then.
Motion.
I move that we accept the resolution approving the agreement.
I second it.
Michelle Ginn,
Yes.
Mary Himberg,
Yes.
Evan Mercarian,
Yes.
Allison McFadden Keesling,
Yes.
Jean Molson,
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy,
Yes.
Kay Robinson.
Yes. Thank you. Now, the next item, the budget. We are discussing a continuation budget for 2012.
I'll just point out a couple of things about the budget, and then you can ask questions if you have any questions about what I've presented. We did send out the public hearing notice on August 1st, and at that time I presented a budget narrative, and there are two things in the narrative that make this budget different than the one that the Township Board actually approved in December of 2011. The first thing is that the Township is acting as the library's fiscal agent and as the employee leasing agent. Essentially, the library employees will remain Township employees until the end of the year, and the Library Board will lease them from the Township and reimburse the Township for employee expenses. So the first difference that you'll see in the budget is all of the items in the top half of the budget, what I would call the employee expenses budget, which are line items 706 through 723, that includes everything from wages and unemployment and FICA and health insurance, that sort of thing. What I've done there is work with the Township to determine how much money we have used, and what you see in that top half of the budget, the first column, 212, is what was originally approved, and the next to it is the requested continuation. In that requested continuation, those numbers are the numbers we've already used. The remainder of all those line items I have added together and put them into 818, which is the professional and contract services line item. And the reason that we've done that was a request by the Township Finance Director. Essentially what will happen is at the end of a pay period, when the Township has paid the library employees, they will send us an invoice and say, this is how much we paid out or expended on these employees, and you should reimburse us. By putting all the money in one line item, we are able to cut one check. So it's for efficiency in accounting. Now, to put everyone's mind at ease, in the district library agreement, most district library agreements will say at the end of the point at which one governing body governs over the library and the new governing body takes over, you do an audit. We had a discussion with Plant Moran, and they said it's extremely expensive to run an audit twice in a year. And it would be essentially an audit for August 1st and then an audit again December 31st. They said if this is not some sort of an adversarial relationship, you can write into your district library agreement that there will be a set of procedures that essentially are a year-end close as of July 31st. And that is what we have done, and that's what was written into the agreement. So that's how we captured these numbers and put them in place. Any questions about that? No? Okay. The second item that is in the budget, when the Township Board approved the library's budget, the township had agreed to waive the administrative fees, which was $55,200, and also give the library $80,000 to put into the budget to help keep from cutting the library's book budget. That money was added as a general fund contribution, and when the budget was played out and money was put into place, we were at a zero balance. At the last moment before the township board approved that budget, there were a few slight changes made by the budget analyst, and you'll see in the document that I provided that was actually the official document approved by the township board, at the very, very bottom, there was $22,068 that was just sitting there unassigned that could potentially go into fund balance. It is my recommendation that that money also go into 818, which is the professional and contract services line item, for the purpose of hiring an accountant, either via contract or as a part-time employee before the end of the year, because on January 1st, we will be entirely independent and we'll need somebody to do the accounting services here at the library. So I would ask that we move that money into that line item in order to be prepared for those expenses, since they're obviously not written into the 2012 budget. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, do we need a motion for that?
To approve the budget?
No, for the,
To approve the movement of the expenses into line 818.
No, essentially what you do is you approve the budget as I presented it, which is the continuation budget. Before you do that, there's one other little thing that I wanted to point out. In the document that came from the township, that was the budget that was approved, and the part that has the employee expenditures, or the employee expenses, that includes salary, retirement costs, healthcare, all of that, there is a column called longevity allowance. We do not have longevity allowance. What is in that line item, the only amount that is in that line item is under my name. Obviously, I've not been here long enough for longevity. Department directors of the township have deferred compensation, and that's what that is. It's not longevity, and I just wanted to clarify that because the township did vote to eliminate longevity, and that's not a longevity number. So I wanted you to be aware that that was not, that was just an error in there.
Now this department director would then, is that something that will carry over into 213?
That is something that when we talk about the 213 budget will be up to the library board, which benefits are transferred over.
Okay. Are there any other questions on the continuation budget? So we're simply looking at continuing what's been done and what was already agreed to by the township through the end of this year.
I have a question a little bit on 826. Is this the time to ask that?
Sure.
The legal fees, does that include the legal fees that we used during the agreement process?
That was the agreement process, and they actually have already been expended. The legal fees that we have been incurring, for example, we had these resolutions drawn up by the attorney. We have the attorney coming in on Monday night to do the millage and ballot language. There have been some other expenditures. We are getting very close to the bottom of that budget. I believe we are actually over budgeting that line, and I will come to you at a later date with a budget amendment so that we can cover all those expenses. We don't have a lot of money. Normally, we don't put anything in their legal fees.
Well, I wondered if that was very unusual for this year.
Usually, it is. It's going to be extraordinarily high for this year in comparison to what we'll budget for next year. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I had another one too, on 922.
922.
Why don't we have any fees for water?
Actually, the reason that that's in there is because when I first came on board, the library's budget had a lot of line items that had very tiny amounts of money, and water and sewer were separated.
Okay.
And I made a request for our department, because we were talking for such small amounts of money, to put water and sewer together. But unfortunately, because other departments in the township still use that line item, it shows as a zero balance.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So here, sewer includes water.
Water and sewer are together, yeah. It was, having too many line items with little bitty tiny amounts of money was causing too many budget amendments for us, and it was just too complicated. So, bigger departments, obviously like the Parks and Rec department uses way more water than we do, so it makes sense to separate it out, but for us it doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
I guess I just had one question on the budget forecast. We're not, be held to
No.
the 13.
The
things.
budget,
They're
the
just-
budget forecast is, the budget that I put in your packet is the budget as approved by the township. And so you needed to be able to see what was already done, but you're only approving a continuation budget for 2012, and probably next month, we'll start to talk about a 2013 budget, and we will actually have to write 2 2013 budgets. We'll have to write a 2013 budget if, once the millage passes, and we'll have to write a 2013 budget if the millage does not pass.
Okay. Are there any other questions? And I'll entertain a motion to approve the continuation of the 2012 budget.
I so moved. I so moved.
I was thinking it was on
And
there.
is there a second?
I second.
Jean moves in second. Any other discussion? If not, we'll move to question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. It is approved.
Before you move on, I'm sorry, there is also a resolution attached to this. I apologize for not making that clear in your agenda. To adopt a general appropriations act. I'm sorry, that was,
And goes with this.
it does go with it. And if you can also move to approve that, I apologize.
There is that.
It should be at the very end of all of those budget documents. Just past that page, this is where do we stand? And it's called Resolution to Adopt Budget General Appropriations Act. I wrote the agenda and then the attorney added this in, so it's in your packet, but
Right. So it's after the
it's after the
review.
township's review.
Right, it's after the review of all the squares.
Squares.
Go past the squares.
Log down.
Past the PowerPoint squares and
Sorry,
and where we stand.
it's a big packet. I don't know if
That's all right. To get used to doing this. Okay, so we need to approve this with,
As a separate, the resolution of the general appropriations. I'm sorry, the attorney said she didn't think that it was required, but the township finance director recommended that it should be done.
okay.
Well, I think we've all read it. It's 3 pages.
It's 3 pages long, okay. So we have the resolution to adopt the budget, and in this case, we will vote individually, right?
This one will be a roll call.
Okay, I'd like a motion to, a resolution to adopt the budget, is the way we'll put that. Is there,
Well, I just did the other side.
we'll just repeat that.
This is a resolution to adopt this budget.
So Jean is the, moves it, and who was our second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Evan was second. Okay.
And a roll call, Michelle Gann,
Yes.
Mary Lindberg,
Yes.
Ellen Markarian.
Yes.
Kathy Keeson.
Yes.
Jean Molson.
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy.
Yes.
Kay Robinson. Yes.
Okay, number 5, approve regular meetings resolution. So if you move on a bit, you'll notice the calendars are laid out. Hope everyone had a chance to look at the September, October, November, December monthly calendars. I have a couple comments or questions or proposals. I would like to propose that we meet regularly rather early in the month. That way, if it's necessary to hold a second meeting, we'll have a little more time to do that. In looking at the planner, I was looking either at the second Tuesday, which is good except for election day, or the first Thursday. These seem to be dates that we might be able to agree on that don't have other meetings.
Second Tuesday is actually the 13th of November.
Yeah, the second
Oh, that's
Tuesday
right.
is the 13th.
But there is a meeting scheduled into this room for that meeting.
November is a precarious month.
Right.
There's a lot going on.
What was the first day of the month you recommended?
I was saying either the second Tuesday or the first Thursday. Take a look at the first Thursday and see what you think about that one.
The first Thursday
In November, that's the first.
Yeah, I was looking at perhaps the third Tuesday or the third Monday of the month, and that seems pretty clear
Okay.
on most months.
So what, that
If you go
was,
on the Tuesday, the third Tuesday of the month, it didn't seem to have any conflicts through the end of December.
so the third Tuesday is a
The
possibility.
only programs could be moved that were scheduled on those dates could be moved. The first Thursday was to the smaller room. Yeah, what's wrong with the first Thursday?
They're only to the first Thursday, the program.
The
schedule.
first Thursday in November, they'll get a program, a meeting from 7 to 9 in the evening.
The
It
first,
could be
the
moved.
first of November, not the 8th. though. We have a
So
week
here we
to-
have-
Oh, I see,
Yeah.
oh.
So I think we
Here,
could
I
do
see,
the
Ellen,
third.
what you're saying.
Yeah, and then it's early up in the morning.
Which one of them is the first Thursday?
I cannot be available the first Thursday in October.
And neither can I.
Oh, well, there.
That's only in that month.
Now, here's a
First
question,
week,
should
first
this be
of the
the
month
same
seems to
time
be
every
the same
month?
time.
They don't have to be till the end of the year, and then you can create a regular schedule for next year if you so choose. You just have to determine what the dates are between now and the end of the year. They don't have to be a schedule of you. So you could take 2 first Thursdays and one something.
So the other ones are not, just October is the problem.
We can't read it in
September and
October.
October, probably, that's close.
It's just not big enough because we have to record and.
Okay.
It'll be easier next year when we'll place your calendar before we let
Yeah.
anybody else do it.
Okay, so which first Thursday was very bad?
The 4th of October.
October?
Yeah.
And I cannot be available the first Thursday in September either. These are things that came up since we did that availability sheet.
Okay, so let's take out the first Thursday, at least for the first 2 months. What would be a better day? How does the second Tuesday look for those 2 months? September and October.
The second Tuesday.
The second Tuesday would be the 11th of September and the 9th of October.
Was the date September the 11th?
September the 11th and October 9th. How does that sound?
Can we meet at a county board meeting? No, that's okay. Not a conflict.
Unfortunately, what is consuming me on the first Thursday in October is also consuming the second, third Tuesday in October. And after that, I would be available. So we had a family issue. come up.
Mondays are pretty early. I was looking at the very back where we were talking about what days people were available.
Right, and I'm sorry, when we talked about it, this was not important, but now it is.
Well, Jean is asking about Mondays.
Can we go to the third week of the month? I mean, if we need another meeting, we just have to try to schedule it early in anytime we need an extra meeting, that we just, we can schedule it again.
Okay. I thought I had the clearest calendars. It doesn't matter to me. So what did you like, the third?
I could do Mondays, just not the week of the 8th. 8th of September? October, I'm sorry. That first, those days in October are not good.
First.
And with the first
The
meeting.
first, no.
Yep, okay.
The first Monday in September is Labor Day too.
Yeah, that won't work. Well, since we don't have to stick with speaking
Right.
every month, but let's just look at,
Let's just pick, yeah.
let's just look at
a day a
September
month.
and then October and then November. Let's not worry
Do one
about.
month.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can have a schedule of, a set schedule for next year.
Yeah.
So maybe it'd be easier to get
The
one.
first day in September that's good for me is the 5th. We can do 5th or 6th.
That's fine.
Works for me.
September 5th or
Fifth
6th.
is
How
I
does that
just
look?
stated earlier, I
Oh,
can't do that this
somebody
weekend.
can.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
So many dates coming.
Maybe the 10th then?
10th of September.
10th of September? Oh, that looking. So
Right,
great. All right.
We're gonna take the 10th of September.
September
Okay.
10th. Tuesday, or Monday, September 10th.
Okay. What time would you like? You want to go 6 o'clock again?
I would prefer 6.
Okay, that's fine.
And then you
Okay.
available for
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, September, okay. How about October?
I propose that we meet on October 15th.
You're not free anytime earlier than that?
Mary wasn't there. I
Well,
could
you're
be, I could do, I see you have the things here though on the 7th and the 10th and the 11th.
Right, in the evening.
The one on the 10th of October is a program that could be moved to the other room if you wanted that.
I could do that. Or the 11th.
And the 11th, there's something going on.
Okay. All right, we could, if the 15th, if Monday the 15th is acceptable, then let's go with that.
Okay.
Okay, and October.
Monday, October 15th.
That's good.
Yeah. All right, November, the election is the 6th.
I could do that Thursday. What did you say that Thursday the 1st was? Not good?
There's a meeting in here on Thursday night.
Okay.
The library's closed
First
on the
of November.
12th.
November 1st?
Very first day of November, is that what we're
That day
November-
might not be
November
as many.
1st?
Nope, not first for me.
Okay, sorry. All right, Thursday.
Well, let's see, if we meet on the 15th, that's 1, 2.
And November is really crowded.
Really.
Fridays
Yeah,
are
it is
looking
crowded.
better in November, or the 20th.
There is
Yeah, there are programs in this room, especially election.
The election is the other.
Election's in here.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
Or the 5th.
It's also when our village is gonna be on the ballot, so it'll be a little busy that day.
There's like a program on the
20th
5th.
or the 5th, but on the 5th, are we going to need to be busy though?
Why not the Friday or following week?
See,
We better
because
have
there's
it
a
after,
program.
so we know where we are.
It looks like the 20th is our
I
only.
could do a Friday.
The 9th?
Or either one, probably the 2nd or the 9th.
Friday. Let's do it tonight.
The library closes early on
I have a key to the building.
Yeah, fine. How about Friday, October 9th?
How's your schedule, Evan?
I could do 6 o'clock
We're in
again.
November. Friday,
Friday, November 9th.
Okay.
So we're on Friday at 10
Right.
At 6 o'clock?
Okay. 6 o'clock. All right, December is a little easier. Not with the book sale. No, not the first, but the 11th, Tuesday the 11th, or
What about the 6th?
Mhm.
the 6th is all right? Thursday the 6th, how does that sound? Okay, Thursday, December 6th, 6 p.m. We'll be consistent on starting time.
That's
And then when we set the schedule in
And then we
January or
can- yeah.
December for the next year, we can try to pick the same day of the week.
We can do it well before
Right,
December.
because we'll be able to,
Okay.
and our personal schedules, we can work around.
All right, do we need a motion for this?
This requires a roll call because it does have a resolution attached to it.
All right, the resolution is immediately following the calendars. Resolution establishing regular meetings.
So we throw these in and then,
I have them filled in, if you'd like me to read them back.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I am going to put on here that you have one on Monday, August 13th, since it hasn't happened yet, and that one is at 7 o'clock p.m. Because the attorney can't be here any earlier than that. So
7.
So Monday, August 13th at 7 o'clock p.m. Monday, September 10th at 6 o'clock p.m. Monday, October 15th at 6 o'clock p.m. Friday, November 9th at 6 o'clock p.m. and Thursday, December 6th at 6 o'clock p.m.
All right, any discussion? This is the resolution.
You just need a motion in a second, and I'll just walk through it.
So do we have a motion on the resolution establishing regular meetings?
I move we accept the resolution establishing regular meetings that we just listed. I second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of these dates?
Roll call, sorry. Michelle Gibbon.
Yes. Yes.
Mary Himberg.
Yes.
Kevin McCarry.
Yes.
Allison McFadden Keisling.
Yes.
Jean Molson.
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy.
Yes.
Kay Robertson.
Yes.
Okay. Discussion of bank selection and opening a bank account.
Do you want me to explain that one?
Please.
Okay. Essentially, in your meeting agenda item form, I do have an explanation. The library will need to open a bank account to deposit the money that the township is currently holding on the library's behalf. It is the library board that must determine what bank will be chosen. At this time, the library board simply needs to designate who has the authorization to make these inquiries on behalf of the library, and that person or persons could bring back options and make a recommendation. For example, it could be the library director or the library director and the library board treasurer. Since the library falls under bank accounts for government entities, the township treasurer and the finance director have also offered to assist in making these inquiries, as they are both familiar with representatives of the various banks handling these accounts. So essentially, all I'm asking for is, who would you like to gather this data on your behalf? And I just need a motion for who you want to authorize.
I move that Ellen gather this data on our behalf as treasurer, I think that would be appropriate.
Do you want to have him work with you, with the township treasurer?
Should we say that now?
Yeah, I think so.
Working in partnership with you?
Yep.
And the township
However you
treasurer.
want to, whether you want that to be a committee of people, or whether you want him to go out and do it all on his own, or however you want to do it.
Do you want to
Committee.
advise
A group effort.
I move that Ellen work with Julie and the other officials to gather data on banks on our behalf.
Very good. Is there a second? Allison, second. Any discussion on the resolution? All right. Roll call on
We
this.
just need a straight vote.
We need a straight vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Evan, I can give you a call and we can create a committee meeting time, and I'll see if I can get all four of us scheduled at the same time. Does that sound like a good thing? Sounds very great. I have my phone.
Okay. Next on our agenda is the approval of the interim purchasing policy and check approval procedures. Could you describe that a little bit, Julie?
Sure. This is another one of those situations that has to do with the interim fiscal agency agreement and the employee leasing agreement with the Charter Township of Independence until the end of the year. Basically what I did was work with the finance director and the township treasurer to put together a purchasing policy that designates how checks will be approved for both the payment of invoices and also for the payment of employees. It does take into account current practice, accounting standards, and the practices of other Class 5 libraries. So essentially what I've laid out here as requested by the township The township treasurer has recommended that all checks be signed by 2 individuals. The township treasurer, who is signing to verify that the money is in the accounts, and he's recommending the library board treasurer sign those checks to verify that that is how the library board has authorized the library staff to spend that money. And then at that time, the library board will receive a list of all invoices that are paid as those checks are cut. Sometimes you'll be approving it after they have been signed off by Mr. McCarty, and other times you'll be receiving them before he has placed those signatures. You're not going to be meeting as frequently as we have check runs. But that is standard practice for most district libraries, to entrust that initial okay. In order to put your mind at ease, the policy, the practice in which we expend money at the library, the first thing that we do is we do a purchase requisition. All staff members for making any kind of a purchase turn that into our administrative assistant. It goes into the finance software, and if the appropriate amount of money is in the line item, and I as the library director know that it was part of the intention of the approved budget, I go ahead and roll it into a purchase order and we make that purchase. If it were to push that line item over budget, the library director, and this is the same with all township departments, is able to move amounts of money between line items as long as they do not change the intention of the budget. For example, if someone purchases a print cartridge for one of the printers and it puts our operating supply budget over budget, but we do need that print cartridge, and there's money in the printing line item, which is usually used for sending things to a professional printer. I would, as long as it was under $5,000, I'd be authorized to move that money from the printing line item to the operating line item, with the understanding that at your next board meeting, you will receive not only an explanation of where it went from one item to the other item, but my justification for doing so. If it were to be something that did not make sense, for example, if I decided if the library board did not know that I was going to buy, for example, a lawnmower, and I took money out of the printing budget and moved it to the building department, or the building budget in order to buy a lawnmower, that would not be inappropriate. So that would be something that would have to come up with. And then, of course, anything that would be over $5,000 would come to you. All expenditures, whether they are within the library's budget or not, come to the library board for approval before they are able to be rolled into a purchase order. So that's any contracts, any purchases that are over $5,000. That's also standard township practice that we've been using, and it's fairly standard practice at all libraries. Some libraries have more or less of those numbers, but that's generally standard practice. Any questions?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the interim purchasing policy and check approval procedures.
I'll put a motion to approve the procedures as described.
Is there a second? Allison seconds. Thank you. Any other discussion of this particular item? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the purchasing policy and check approval procedures are approved. Number 8, designate an official newspaper. See the resolution. So we're moving on. This particular line item of selecting the newspaper that's going to print notification of our meetings. Both the township and the city use the Clarkston News. I think Julie is recommending that we do the same. To designate this will require a roll call vote. Do we have a motion to approve?
I approve the resolution designating the Clarkston News as the official newspaper for publication.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Even though it doesn't come out as often as we'd like.
Michelle again?
Yes.
Mary Himbert?
Yes.
Emma McCarnian?
Yes.
Allison McFadden Keesling?
Yes.
Jean Wilson?
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy?
Yes.
Kay Robertson?
Okay, our final item on the agenda tonight is the discussion and approval of existing policies of the library. Julie, would you like to discuss this?
Certainly. Essentially what we're asking you to do, the library board is obviously the governing body that sets the policies, but we have a lot to do in the next few months. So I don't know that you really want to take the time to look at every policy that we have tonight. So what has been recommended by the attorney, and she has put forward a resolution that you essentially approve all of our policies in one blanket resolution so that we can move forward with day-to-day operations, and then we can tackle going back over those policies section by section. It would be a big chunk to do in one evening. So, but there are two policies that I have put specifically in your packet that we should go over. The first is the internet access policy. It is required that this policy be reviewed and approved by the library's governing body to make the library eligible for federal grants relating to computers and public internet access. The policy that I have supplied for you is the policy that was originally approved by the township board. It does meet all the requirements and is in compliance with all state and federal laws. I don't know if you have any questions about that particular policy. We are a recipient of E-rate. E-rate is federal money that is provided to libraries to help pay for the broadband internet access that we provide for the public. So part of the requirement in order to be eligible for that money is for this policy, as well as for an internet policy to be approved. So,
And this is the one we're currently using.
this is the one we're currently using. I did change the name of the library within it, but other than that,
Right now, up until now, the township has a tech person, IT.
Yep.
Will we just continue with that?
We don't actually use the township's IT person at all. We never have. Well, not for a number of years. Bill Bowman is our head of circulation IT coordinator. He handles all the IT in our building. We have 68 computers available in our building, and he keeps them all up and running. He's also in charge of our wireless, our database, and I would assume that we would keep him on. Yeah. So he handles all of that. And he actually did, just to reassure you, he has gone back over this policy to make sure that that he wouldn't recommend any changes either at this time.
Okay, and the other one you wanted to discuss was the unattended children policy.
The other one, the second one is the unattended children policy. This policy does designate how minor children are attended on library property outside of business hours. So this is essentially if somebody does not pick up their child when the library is closed. We do have the policy written out as far as how many library staff people will stay. We do have the policy put in place that after 20 minutes, we do call the sheriff's department and have them come and stay with the child. That also is in compliance with the union contract for how long we can keep our union employees past the end of their shift, that kind of thing. It has been vetted by Lieutenant Dale LeBear. I will admit I did not yet take it to the new lieutenant, but I would be happy to do that at a later date if you would like to review and rewrite this policy. It does need some updates, but it has been functioning fine for us in the last several years, so I don't know that it's something that we want to tackle necessarily making changes tonight. Unless there's something in there that you really find.
So we really will just let the policies stand as they're currently written at the moment, and then deal with those after we've dealt with some of the more pressing issues.
I think the first and foremost thing that we need to do is transition the financials of the library by December 31st of 2012. We do need to be a completely independent financial entity. So we have to set up an employer ID number, we have to set up an bank account, we have to set up accounting software, we have to have an accountant who's going to make sure that we are functioning within all of the laws, that sort of thing. We need to be able to cut our own checks. Those are all things that need to be done by the end of the year. So while all these policies are very important, and we do want you to go over them at some point, maybe start tackling those after the first of the year when we've got everybody transitioned over and all the employees transitioned over.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All right, then I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the existing policies of the library as a continuation. Allison moves. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? If not, we'll have a roll call vote on this item.
We have just a
Yes.
quick bit of discussion. Is this public posted anywhere for parents?
It is. It's on our bulletin board, and it is in the children's department as well.
Okay. I think it's very generous giving them 20 minutes actually.
Actually, Lieutenant LaValle's care facility said the same thing. There is actually a reason that we selected that number in 2007, kind of a funny thing. I lived down by Great Lakes Crossing, and several years ago, when I worked here as a reference librarian, I was the teen librarian, and 20 minutes was the amount of time that we determined that it takes to get from Great Lakes Crossing to the library, should you drop off your teenager for an after-hours program and go to dinner. So we give them 20 minutes just because the library staff doesn't really like to call the police unless it's absolutely necessary. So we did pick that number. It's a little bit generous, but it is, we sort of timed it. Since I live out that way, I drove in. And you can get there in about, from Great Lakes Crossing to the library for about 15, 18 minutes. So,
Except perhaps now.
yeah, exactly.
The gentleman that took LaBear's place is excellent. I had occasion yesterday in 10 minutes. He was there quicker than ever before.
He has,
So I think we'll have a good relationship.
he has
He's
gotten,
young, he has kids.
he's gotten glowing reviews
Yeah.
now, but he's so busy. I just haven't, I didn't want to bring this little thing to him at this point. I thought, he's working for us now, and I'm sure he'll want to tackle it and have put his own stamp on it. But, yeah, that's the only reason I didn't, because I know everybody wants his attention at the moment since he's brand new. He's cute.
Is there any other discussion, or are there any other questions? All right, we'll,
Are you sure you're looking at
No, I'm all right.
Okay, all right. Michelle Ginn,
yes.
Mary Himberg,
Yes.
Heather Markarian.
Yes.
Allison McFadden Hughley,
Yes.
Jean Moulton,
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy,
Yes.
Steve Robertson.
Okay. Existing policies of the library stand is approved until we deal with them later. All right, we have now ended the new business portion of the meeting. Thank you for the excellent packet from which we've been working. We did our homework beforehand. If there are no other items to be discussed, I will accept a movement to adjourn. And
Move to adjourn our first meeting?
is there a second?
Yep.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The meeting will be adjourned at 7:05 p.m.